time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Gina, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, good evening. Chairman Zarguni,
Present.
Vice Chairman Miller is absent. Commissioner Schrader,
Present.
Commissioner York is absent. Commissioner Gonzalez. Present. Commissioner Mandel.
Here.
Commissioner Salazar Garza is absent. Commissioner Munoz.
Here.
And Commissioner Montagi.
Here.
Quorum established.
Thank you. Moving on to the public comment. Is there anyone that would like to speak regarding any general topic or item, not anything specific regarding any item on the agenda? None, I will close the public comments and moving on to the approval of the absences. Can I get a motion for Commissioner Schrader absences?
Commissioner Mandel, I vote that we, or move that we approve the absence of Commissioner Schrader.
Second. We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the minutes regarding the last Planning Commission meeting on September 7, 2022. Any questions, discussions, or can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting, September 7th.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in
Second.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the consent public hearing items.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mark Orozco, Senior Planner with Development Services. I'm going to be reading into record items number 2, 3, and 4. Item 5 will be tabled, and that one's going to be omitted for the consent items. Continuing with number 6, 7, 8, and 9. So starting off with the plats, we have item number 2, landmark at Airline Block 1, Lot 1, final of 11.16 acres. London Town Subdivision, Unit 9, it's a final plat of 18.42 acres. Woodland Estates, Block 6, lots 24RA, 24RB, and 24RC is a replat of .67 acres. Skipping over to number 6, item number 6, Saratoga Place, Block 4, Lot 1, final plat of 1.97 acres. Item number 7, Nueces River Irrigation Park, Annex number 2, Lot 2 is a replat of 2.53 acres. Pozo Cruz Flores Subdivision, final, I believe this is an OCL project. It's 94.08 acres. Last item, number 9, Industrial Tech Park, Unit 3, Lot 2. It's a final plat of 2.99 acres. Staff recommends approval of the plats. They are meeting the Texas Local Government Code and UDC regulations.
Thank you. So just for the record, you mentioned the applicant is requesting to table item number 5 for the next meeting?
That's correct.
So we will make a separate motion on that. Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner, do you have any questions for staff at this time regarding item 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9?
I have a question on item 8.
Yes, sir.
That plat is located in a commercial zoning, correct?
That's OCL. It's outside the city limits.
Okay, and but their intent is for residential, but they're not planning to change any or apply for. How does that? In other words, I guess my concern is it's in a area that floods significantly. Is there any, since it is outside the city limits, is there any imposition on noting that, since their intention is to use it for residential, but it's not being changed in zoning?
Well, you could note we note on the plat the receiving waters. We also note, we have noted in the past for island properties, if it is within a flood zone, really it impacts them more at the building permit stage, that if they do end up going through a process of either a water contract or receiving utilities, typically the requirement is then you will have to obtain building permits. Because you obtain building permits, then you have to meet any type of flood standard. So it truly impacts them at the building stage, not so much at plats.
Right, so if they, I mean, I think we've kind of touched on this before, but if they potentially sell these off, there's nothing that notifies a potential buyer of that's their own due diligence that they're going to have to do to determine
in
that.
this case, just knowing the background of the project, it's more of a family complex of 3 homes. So I not to discredit your question, because that does happen at times where properties could be sold off with a large residential subdivision. In this case, it's 3 family members that are building homes right next to each other. So the odds of that occurring are relatively low. But we'll definitely look into that on the floodplain, and we can always add a note.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing at this time regarding those items. Is there anyone that would like to come and speak regarding any of those items? None. I will close it, and I'll entertain further discussions or a motion regarding item number 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
I'll make a motion that we approve items 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 as presented by staff.
Second. We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So going back to item number 5.
Yes, Brighton Park Addition, number 2, Block 1, Lot 3R1 and 3R2, a replat. The applicant has requested to move this plat to the next PC agenda.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any question for staff regarding this item? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on this one. Does anyone wish to speak regarding item number 5? None. I will close it, and I will entertain a motion to table this item to the next Planning Commission meeting.
I move that we table item number 5 to the next planning commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 10, time extension.
Yes, item number 10, Lexington Center, Unit 2. This is a preliminary plat of 32.798 acres. This is their 3rd request. This is this is located at Crosstown Expressway and Holly Road. I think currently they do have an existing convenience store at that corner. The preliminary plat does incorporate the back portion lot, which is approximately 33 acres behind them.
So they're asking for a 3rd extension?
Yes.
Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this item for staff?
Mark, didn't they request for 2 years?
Yes, it's a preliminary plat, so it'll be 2 years.
Don't we just grant, in case of an extension, don't we just grant the extension for 1 year?
For
12
final
months.
plats. For final plats,
For
it's
final-
1 year. Prelims, it should be 2.
Do you know the reason of extension?
They're mainly stating the bond project, finalizing that project, and I did check the utility map, and it hasn't been installed. The consultant did state that it's near completion. So it's a large tract, so apparently for some reason they need that utility line all the way to Greenwood. But-
When was this plat originally approved by the commission? I noticed it was 2020.
2008, well,
Can we pull it
2016,
up real
because they
quick?
asked, this is the 3rd one, so
Correct.
on 2018, it was their first extension.
So what has been done since 2018? I mean, in terms of
Their Unit 1, their final plat actually on the corner, the convenience store, which presently I think they have a private little lift station there.
Sure, but I guess, and I'd like to the applicant kind of clarify this, but granting additional 2 years extension, that puts it almost on a 6 years project, if I'm not making a mistake. And I'd like to know exactly what the exact reasoning behind it is, because since the original date that commission has, approved this plat, has
Yeah.
there been anything done, or has just been putting it off and putting it off, and due to
Reading
the timing
the
extension?
past 3 extension requests, actually, it was the same reasoning, and they were basically requesting for the reasoning of that completion of the bond project.
Yeah, but that reasoning is just gonna be continuing to be a problem.
Yes.
They're gonna come back, could be 2 years from now, ask for the same reasoning. So, I wanna hear more, or I wanna have some more documentation or clarification of what exactly been done since, the original plat has been approved. So, I guess, we'll wait to hear from the applicant. But Commissioners, do you have any other questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Gonzalez.
What was y'all's staff's recommendation for the extension? Was it to deny it or approve it?
When it gets above usually 1 or 2, we tend to stay away from giving an official recommendation, since, we can understand, especially that's one of the reasons why we elongated the duration of time extensions to a year for final plats, was that the applicant would need to make a case. Once you're, as the chairman said, you're getting closer to 6 years already, starting from 2016 to now, and adding another 2 years puts it on a kind of an 8-year track. So that's a valid point.
And from what Mr. Orozco was saying, they were waiting on the bond to be.
Right, that was the original Holly Road widening for
Right.
some time, especially that last piece along Ayers. I just drove through there the other day. It's complete. If they're missing one last utility line, that might be just one small piece that's remaining of the overall bond project. But it's completed paving. It's striped. Folks are driving on it.
And in staff's opinion, is that a sufficient reasoning as far as asking for or putting off the project for 4 years?
It's a loaded question to say what is sufficient. We can understand that it can take very minor factors to derail a project. So by no means am I trying to belittle what the applicant is trying to do. I know for sure the convenience store is operating, so it hasn't halted that process. That final plat did proceed. The real question is we really don't know what the applicant is proposing for that remaining 30 acres. So it's hard for us as staff to judge, is it going to be a industrial development? Is it going to be a retail development? Is it going to be multifamily apartments? We really don't know, because not enough details have been shared at this preliminary stage.
Oh, okay.
So
So we don't even know what the proposed zoning is?
It's zoned general commercial, but that leaves the door open of having, it could be a fleet services park like AEP has. It could be a shopping center. It could be an apartment complex. There's so many things.
Right, that fall in that
CG2
category.
is the most versatile zoning district, so it's hard to nail down what exactly the ultimate build-out will be.
Okay.
On their
Thank you.
request, they did state from Greenwood to Crosstown, so apparently there's like an extension that's not complete yet.
In your experience, why would that hold it up to prevent construction?
Access to wastewater would be
Capacity.
Okay.
the main issue. Now that can halt you if you're building, 3 shopping center buildings, let's say, for an example.
Otherwise, he would have to bring it in?
Yes.
Okay, well then, yeah.
But if the line is being enlarged, even if you access the line, if the current line doesn't have capacity, you're still in a waiting pattern.
Right.
But it also is a key factor that what has the applicant promptly tried to be doing since they've had this plat approved, and willingness to work it out because getting this kind of an extension, there's got to be some serious major things going on that they're asking for it. Are you good?
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When was the last extension that was given to them? It was September of 2021?
It would have been late 2020. Let's see, we're coming up on 2
October.
years, so it would have been this time in 2020.
So a year ago, pretty much.
Yeah, 20.
2 years
2 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And again, just to clarify, has there been any improvement, changes since their last, well, Because the reasoning for the last extension was the same thing from what I heard right now, right? And
Outside of the development of the convenience store, no other development or forward progress has occurred on site.
Okay, thank you. Any other question for staff? Commissioner Schroeder?
I guess I'm going to ask this the opposite way. What imposition is on the city or the general public by extending this? Is this prohibiting other projects? Is this, from what I have understood based on what was in here, is that there's everybody can speculate on whether or not a city project has held this up or not, but the fact is there has been ongoing bond projects around this site, and whether the developer believes that's affected them from doing their project, from my perspective, that's their opinion. Unless from our perspective, it causes imposition on public improvement projects or neighboring properties. Are we aware of anything that the delay in this project is imposing on others?
Not that I'm aware of any other projects that have been delayed or slowed to progress. There's been a few other potential developments of a school to the north in which that project decided to take a different direction. It wasn't a reason of access to wastewater, since there was access by another route. Usually when it comes to extending any plats, my first worry is vesting, because as long as a plat stays alive, it's under the current code. So fortunately, we're still under UDC text amendment progress. Now, this is a preliminary plat, so it's, I'm sure Buck will correct me, it's as soon as you submit a plat application, it does tie you, and luckily this is not in an ACU's area, so I don't have to worry about that aspect. But that's usually the thing that we're concerned about, is any time a plat continues to kind of languish out there, is if it's we know any major rule changes that are going to occur, and it would vest it under a previous code.
Right, and that's part of my question, and
Yes,
at least in this particular area, I wasn't aware of anything that this
Not
is
that I can
essentially
think of.
it's not a backdoor way to continue into some kind of
Correct.
UDC or code issue that we're aware of. I mean, ACU's issues, totally different animal, totally understand that, but I just want to make sure there wasn't something hidden here. So, okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Commissioner Munoz?
Is there a time frame, or is there a schedule for installing that wastewater line? Is it it's done?
I think it's in the final stages of what the last time we checked with Public Works, but we will verify what their completion schedule is for that extension to Greenwood. It's well within 2 years. So.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Quick question, the convenience store, is that the Circle K?
Yes,
Okay.
It came
So
in
wouldn't you
and-
consider that progress? Or,
And that was exactly the one progress that has occurred. So of the
and that's
you know,
pretty big. I mean, it's
30,
not,
36 acres, 3
Yeah.
acres has developed, but we still have another 33.
33 acres.
What do we know what's going to happen with?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public comments regarding this item. Is the applicant present here? If you would please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Burris McRae with Gulf Tex Properties, 6,000 Staples, Suite 401. We represent the seller we have for about 4 years, and there's been lots of things that have happened there that have kept from development. Most of it, well, biggest percent of it has been utilities. Right now, we have a contract in place right now with Circle K to extend their facility about an acre. We also, 2 years ago, and this kind of gives you an example of what utilities not being available causes. 2 years ago, we sold the north 15 acres of this 32-acre tract to Idea Charter Schools. And the only reason we were able to make that sale is because utilities, they could go under the Crosstown Expressway Exchange to a lift station for sanitary sewer there and get that. And of course, we had storm sewer right there, or storm drainage right there in the ditch, and we also were able to get water that was existing there on the site. So utilities plays a big part in being able to get someone to take on the project. We just sold 81 acres over on the west side of this property for a residential project. And the only reason we were able to do that at this time is because utilities are available to it. So utilities are a big part. You can take a project and you can sell it for some amount of money, and if you spend all the money getting utilities to it, it's not worth it. But we've got the Circle K that is in the process right now. It surprised me that they have not already applied for extension of the plat, but they move kind of slow. So they've got an extended period of time to get that all worked out before they close.
So you're saying that the concern you all have is the utility for this project. The gas station that is right next to it, there is a utility there, I would assume, and the line should have been extended to the adjacent property. Is that not the case?
The
Or are you
lines
talking
have
about
not
utility?
been extended to the adjacent property because there's not capacity there. So it's kind of
Correct, but
useless to extend them.
my concern for this, Mr. McCree, is that you guys have owned this property for several years now, prior buying it, doing your due diligence, understanding if there was utility there or not. You requested a plat several years ago and keep asking for an extension for the same reason. And I just don't understand, if the utility was an issue, why did the client?
Because
the
utilities are
property.
supposed to be coming there. Are they, Andrew, are they on board for this side of Crosstown? That they're working on. They've just finished the extension over on the west side of Crosstown.
I understand that, but again, like anything else that city goes through, timing is, I'm pretty sure, is a bit of an uncertainty. We all can agree with the timing of it. So to get a plat extended for almost 6 years because utility is not there is at least not convincing me that we can extend this plat, because then everybody can come here and want to extend plat for that reason. So I just wanted to really know exactly the reasons other than utilities concern. Yes, to your point, you're correct. We have to have utilities for the infrastructure, but all this time gone by and no action has been taken is concerning for me. But that's just my point of view. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak regarding this? I had a question for you. Yes. Commissioner Gonzalez.
A couple of questions. What best case scenario if the utilities are there tomorrow? What are the plans? What is for the future of this property?
Original plans had been to develop a retail center on this side, and kind of a different retail center. On the west side, basically the southeast quarter of that 200 acres over there, the southeast quarter of that property has been planned for, a high-class retail center, while this one was more of a merchant-type retail center.
So is the
and
seller
so
planning?
with the COVID shutting a lot of retail and everything down, that has held that project a lot. But we get calls of people wanting to do certain things, and sometimes they're not what the developer, the property owner, wants to do there. We don't really want to do an industrial project. We want to do apartments or retail. And so that fits in with kind of what we think that the market area needs there.
So right now, y'all really don't have any set plans in place. So if you were to ask for this time extension, and just say that they were to grant it, y'all really don't have a plan in place as far as what y'all are gonna do in the next 3 months, you know, now that the utilities are there?
Well, the utilities aren't there yet.
They're not there, Andrew?
That is the project that is currently wrapping up.
Okay.
It's the widening of Holly Road along with the utilities, which looks like it's about
Okay.
90+.
If the utilities were done, do y'all have a plan for the following 3 months on what y'all are gonna do, or are y'all gonna sell it?
Yes, sell it
You're
is
gonna
what the
sell it?
goal is. The owner has no desire
To develop it.
develop it himself. And we get calls quite often from developers in the San Antonio and Austin area that have a project that they want to do. And the utilities
So
aren't
do y'all
there for-
plan on selling it with the current zoning of the CG?
Yes, sir.
With this
That's
current
our
zone?
plan, yeah.
Yeah, it's a.
I mean,
so-
today I turned down a guy that wants to buy the whole 25 acres there for a battery bank project. And I told him, the owners, that wasn't anything that the owners wanted to
So
do.
the plat, is it gonna be to break it up into certain parcels, you know, certain acreage, or?
It could be, yes, sir.
Okay, so this time extension, even that, y'all don't have a clue of as far as how y'all want to break it up or anything like that?
We have, yes, we have. How we would prefer, how we would like to do it is develop, or is have the rear part of that property be a retail center, and then have pad sites along the front. We can develop, our latest plan shows we can do probably 4 or 5 pad sites up front. And we have a couple of people that are interested in doing a pad site adjacent to the north of the Circle K right now.
Okay.
It's going to be a multiple subdivided piece,
Yeah.
if any, but they
But
don't know.
they don't even know.
So it could be anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So do you think it's in your best interest to apply for another time extension if y'all don't even, if y'all not sure exactly where y'all want to go with this?
Yeah, it just keeps, it kind of keeps the iron in the fire, so to speak.
Right. Okay.
okay, Commissioner Mendel, do
Andrew, or Mark, either way.
you have a
If-
question for the applicant?
No, I'm sorry, I do
Oh,
not.
okay.
Let's
Sorry.
just get the public comments and then I'll
Okay.
get with Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak regarding the public comment? None, I will close the public hearing, and Commissioner Mendel.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If we deny it, can we review like the process of reapplication? Like what would be the cost on the owners if they reapplied for a preliminary plat?
We'll have to pull up the municipal code that has, I mean, it's not an exorbitant cost to.
Right.
To restart.
To restart the project?
Restart the project. We would more than likely base our reviews off of previous comments to see if there's anything that was left unaddressed. As far as it would go back to the technical review committee, it would be reviewed as if it's a brand new preliminary plat, and it would have to follow today's standards. Now, there may have probably been a few minor changes between 2016 and today, but as the zoning is already general commercial, it will allow all the uses Mr. McCree just mentioned. Minus, of course, the battery bank, those are
Yeah.
industrial uses. But
And would part of that review take into account the recent, I guess, extension of Holly and as well as the addition of the trunk line?
as far as servicing public improvements, yes, we would, of course, every plot, we want to ensure that it has access to all utilities, that each lot is serviced, that's a state law that we enforce. So the ability to have capacity to those lines and to service each pad site is extremely important.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to add, for final plat, so this property here has three frontages. So basically, they have to meet, they have to serve all 3 sides. And so I want to say, looking at the utility map, the portion is on Crosstown is not served yet. So that's probably how they're going to be able to get served.
I've already closed the public hearing. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Mendel, you good? Okay. Andrew, I have a question to ask you. You mentioned that the utilities are not there, and just for the sake of an argument, somebody submits an application for a plat, knowing to what extent the utilities come or may not come, is it been common that just keep extending get a time extension till one day utilities are there? I mean, because this is a pretty significant issue, not regarding obviously this project, but any other one that submits a plat, because next thing you know, we have to deal with all this 8-10 years because there may be not enough utilities or infrastructure there. So could you clarify on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So we do notify via the TRC comments if there is an ongoing bond project that would extend utilities. More than likely that comes up because if utilities aren't there by means of a city project, then the developer is responsible for extending utilities to the site. If it's within a reasonable time frame. So for example, we've heard a few Rancho Vista cases where we know Rodfield Road is going to extend up to Safety Steel. That's already a approved bond project, so we know within the next few years it is going to be constructed. Design has already been approved. To me, that's more of a reasonable time frame. I know that utility will be there. I know that road extension will be there. It's not a connection to a hope. It is reality. I would say in this scenario, we know a bond project is wrapping up. What we don't know is, as mentioned earlier by one of the other commissioners, if utilities are going to be able to access from each one of those pads. That will be the developer's responsibility to connect to utilities that are being extended. So it's almost meeting them halfway.
That makes sense. Thank you. Commissioner Mendel? Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, sir. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Andrew or Mark, just curious, I mean, I'm green at this, so I just want to kind of get an understanding. What would have been the purpose of them applying for a preliminary plat in 2018, knowing that there was no utilities, knowing it's going to be a few years? What would be the purpose of them doing that?
That is an excellent question. It's one of those questions that I struggle with myself of if it's part of the due diligence, and it's nothing against Mr. McCree because I know he's representing the owner. Owners do all kinds of things, and perhaps the idea they started with originally has now changed and morphed into another concept. But at the platting stage, you're starting with almost virgin land. You really don't know how you're going to connect certain things. And as Mr. McCree mentioned, probably early onset, it was going to be one large retail development, and now the market has shifted to pad sites. So that's the fluctuation we try to take account for. And that's why we use zoning for that piece. But it's kind of the longer it's out there, in 2 years, another change could occur that we'll have to adjust for. But I have seen applicants come in with, a drawing on a napkin and saying, I want to plat this. And it's a concept, it's a hope, it's a dream. And as much as I don't want to crush dreams, we need a little bit more of a drawing and an idea of what in reality will be built.
Yeah, preliminary plats have to submit the contiguous ownership property of the. Correct. So that's why it's a large tract, and it could have been just that they're trying to develop that lot 1, but they do have to include on the preliminary plat the entire ownership property.
Okay, Commissioner Schrader.
What bond year was the street and utilities project in?
I believe it was 18 was Holly Road, and I was just making a note to myself to verify, but I want to say it was 2018.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, I mean, I guess I kind of find it funny of where I'm coming from on this is that, I mean, I can totally understand a development scenario where someone says, okay, that just passed in the bond, let's get this property platted so we can get it for sale, because buyers always want all that stuff done. They want it already decided, they want the plat done, they want the whatever zoning. They don't want to have to do that themselves, so the sellers are asked to get that set up because otherwise the property's not as appealing. We've seen numbers of cases like this. In this particular case, now this project is almost done. This would be the prime time for a sale. It seems a little bit odd to me that we would not extend it at this particular time, other than, I mean, I've been looking for it. When I read this, I went and looked to see what issues are out there that, hey, we shouldn't, this is a problem with, this, Is there something in the UDC coming up that would be a problem here, like Mr. Demas spoke about, or the ACUs? In this particular case, there doesn't seem to be one. So, you know, from the standpoint of being friendly to development, I mean, this seems like one of these cases where it's the opportune time, and unless I'm missing something here, where you'd extend a case. So, because now the project's almost done. So, I'm looking for a reason not to, but I don't see one.
Well, Commissioner Schrader, I mean, just to at least clarify a point to Mr. Dimas' point, we're looking at the hope and the time that we don't know exactly when this, if any, the utilities will be there. This plat has been initially submitted 2016 or 2017 and is a continuous discussion. And to Commissioner Gonzalez, why would you submit a plat knowing there is no utility and wanting to keep extending it? There's no plan, there's no project, there's no clear indication of what they wanted to do. I am personally always support in favor of all developments and projects that are coming in. But it's just, and again, not to make this any argumentative, is there's no such a reasoning of extending it for another 24 months for no reason that they have, and there's no guarantee that this will be there. So I guess we will see what everyone else has a questions or comments. Anyone else? None. At this time, I will entertain a motion. I guess I'll make a motion to deny the applicant request for the extension for the third time.
Is that, does the chairman make motions?
I'd have to consult the Robert's rules.
And the only reason I made the motion was I had no motion from everyone else, so I can withdraw my motion if someone else wants to make a motion. Mr. Buck, help us out, clarify the.
I don't know if my opinion's worth 2 cents. For my time when I served as a parliamentarian for student government, it used to be, it was a tradition that chairs don't typically make motions. But unless you have, I'm trying to remember, there's a certain classification depending on the type of board where you can or cannot. And then there's, sometimes even the chair didn't vote. So it depended on the type of board, if I recall correctly in Robert's rules.
Again,
Not to complicate it more.
my reason was I didn't hear any motion, so if anyone wants to make a motion. Mr. Buck?
Commissioner Mandel, I move that we deny applicant's request for an extension.
I second. We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Gina, if you would please take a roll call on that.
Okay. Chairman Zarguni,
Aye.
Chairman Schrader,
Opposed?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Gonzalez. Opposed. Commissioner Mandel,
Aye.
Commissioner Munoz,
Oppose.
and Commissioner Motagi.
Opposed.
Motion fails.
So we will have to get another motion.
I move that the time extension be granted.
Second.
Gina, could you please make a roll call, please?
Chairman Zarguni,
Opposed?
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez. Aye. Commissioner Mandel,
Opposed?
Commissioner Munoz,
Aye.
and Commissioner Montagi.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Awesome. Moving on to director reports.
Have no report this evening.
Thank you. Any future agenda item, any further discussions, topic? None. We are adjourned. Thank you.